Now we go here to LA. Definitely some more things to pay attention to with our Lakers squad. Excited to finally get to talk more about the product on the court. We have our roster kind of filled out now, and as you kind of see, the Spectrum Sports Net, they had a nice graphic recently as we had started in the season. Our preview here, showing what our projected depth chart will be. What stands out to you most with our Lakers squad right now?
That we didn't bring in the size, like the big man size that we kind of had been asking for and thought they were going to. We brought in Christian Wood, who's more of a 4, and I'm not sure if he's going to be used kind of like in a 6-man role. That's yet to be determined as far
AD
as
and Wood both at least want to be more of a 4,
exactly.
But they're going to do 5 and make it work.
And so they'll play Jackson Hayes at some 5 as well. But that stood out to me because I feel like that was a little bit of a position of need, in my opinion. I like the depth, though, a lot. I mean, we were able to bring a lot of these guys back on team-friendly deals, specifically Reeves and Vanderbilt and D'Angelo. D'Angelo took a lot of flack for his lack of performance in that Western Conference Finals, but he was helpful in getting us to that point to making the playoffs after he was traded to us in post-trade deadline or pre-trade deadline. So, I think this roster has a lot of depth. We talked about earlier in the offseason how we felt like they're still like kind of missing a little bit of something, and didn't know if that was just the big that we were talking about, or and we kind of narrowed it down to feeling like there's going to need to be a third guy that really steps up and be a consistent third scoring option after LeBron and AD. I think there are guys that are eligible to do so between D'Angelo and Reeves, but it's yet to be seen. I like the depth. I think they're going to be just as good, if not better, than they were last year.
This is a nitpick, but do you feel that LeBron should be more of a 4 this year?
Should be more of a 4. I think he can.
I felt like he kind of did that last year, didn't he? Wasn't he more of a point forward, power forward-esque? He was.
Yeah, he's always point.
He kind of floats around. So, I mean, it's very much a nitpick, but just on the depth chart, I'm like, I thought he was more of a. He kind of dropped down to a 4 a little bit more last year, but again, just that's picking hairs. But
he can float.
Yeah, for sure, he can float the whole list. So interesting to see how that plays out with him. Interesting question I have with him actually is this roster seems like we finally got a roster that can really compete this year. It seems like it's a roster that has most pieces that we would need to make a run. Like we like just about everything on there. I know you said there's some things missing maybe, but beyond the small nitpicks as we're doing, this does seem like it can be a very, very well could be a championship roster. But the guys at the top that were supposed to carry us there, we've seen that they had their struggle with injury and things the past few years. We saw last year that LeBron kind of got burnt out at the very end. And with that being the case, could this be the right roster, but too late with LeBron maybe not being able to fully carry the load as needed as the number 1 with this squad this year? Do you think it's maybe too late for this Lakers squad or for LeBron to carry us to a ring again this year?
It's funny because I'll say no, because they had the championship roster before. Like the issue was that they panicked and made the Russell Westbrook trade kind of on the shoulders of LeBron and AD, and ruins like what they already had, which was the winning formula of having guards that are good point of attack defenders on the perimeter and guys that can shoot and play defense around LeBron and AD. And they went in and sacrificed that depth for a really high salary guy that didn't fit schematically with LeBron and AD very well. So like I think they've had this framework before, and I wouldn't say it's too late. Like I get that LeBron is older, AD is fragile, but we've still seen LeBron playing at an MVP level. So if your concern is just like him staying healthy, then maybe like you could say it's too late, but I don't think so. Like I think they've infused this team with some younger guys in the offseason that are going to help carry the load and have playoff experience, have finals experience as well. I think you have young up and coming guys like Reeves who are growing into themselves as NBA players and have showed
Yeah.
promise, and have showed that they fit well around LeBron and AD. So I don't think it's too late. I think LeBron still has another elite year or two left in him,
Mhm.
and I think they were able to potentially maximize his very small window with his age in
Yeah.
what Lincoln was able to do in the offseason, acquiring a lot of these guys. So
That's the
no.
key. Like I don't think he's going to be a all NBA player this year based on qualification when it comes to the 65 game minimum or whatever it is. I think they definitely need to pace him this year and find ways to bottle up his best moments and use them accordingly. I know he himself is going to be a guy that wants to go out there, put his best foot forward. But we saw how that kind of played out last year as it tailed off at the end. He had a great first half of that game for versus the Nuggets, and then the second half, I think he even left the first half early. And people kind of joked about that, just from slight fatigue. And then the second half, he didn't have enough legs left to get us over the hump as we would have liked. So I'm not saying, I wasn't trying to say it to make it hate. I know it could seem that way, but just a reality of what we've seen recently, that with him, AD, just as guys in the league playing as much as they do, that the fatigue definitely can take its toll. So seeing what all could come into play this year, I think even with as good of a roster this is, LeBron still has to be LeBron, and AD has to be AD for this roster to achieve what we think it can. So we'll see if they are able to make sure that happens this year and pace themselves accordingly. I think pace, we talked about last year, is one of our kind of to our NFL, so we have our truths. One of our truths last year was like to make sure they pace themselves. Something we learned after our missteps at the end there. So we'll see if they pace themselves accordingly and LeBron's able to gear up when most needed. So yeah, that's the thing I have most eyes on. Anything else, ladies, you want to address real quick?
No, I think just like finishing on that point to your question, I do think like the shot creation from like the forward guard spot does get a little bit iffy if LeBron were to go down. Like you still can get creation from Reeves and you still can get creation from D'Angelo, but it does like suffer a major hit if LeBron were to miss like a significant amount of time.
Sure.
I think they could still weather the storm. Like we saw them play well when he was off the floor still last year. But like if it was in a playoff scenario, if you were to lose LeBron, like of course, like I think your offensive creation like does take a hit. But
let me ask you this, and this is looking too far ahead, but we'll just do it because you brought it up. Playoff wise, we know that lineup shrink. What would you want our playoff, let's say our 9-man rotation in the playoffs to be?
So hopefully it'll be 8.
Well, 8, whatever. Okay, then 8. Then who you want our playoff 8 to be?
Obviously LeBron, AD, Reeves, D'Lo, Rui. Vanderbilt's kind of a matchup dependent one, so I'm not going to solidify him. Christian Wood, kind of like in a 6-man role. Reddish and Christie have to prove themselves. I couldn't put them there. Gabe Vincent would be in there. So that's about 7. And maybe Jackson Hayes, maybe Taurean Prince. I don't know. But I think between like Prince, Hayes, Vanderbilt, it's kind of like matchup dependent.
Yeah, I think Gabe, Jared, and Wood are the 3 that push it to 8. 3 off the bench that make it to 8. So I think that is a strong 8. But you do want another wing in there that can have some kind of contribution. So seeing what we can get out of Reddish or Taurean definitely is going to be crucial. People have had high hopes for Cam Reddish for a long while now. People see the talent there. People keep talking about, we hear all the top guys, new young guys in the league. They all looked up to Cam when they're coming up, or they still praise Cam for the talent that he could and can be. Hoping that he achieves that somewhat more here than he has in the past. Definitely will be crucial. And then Taurean is a vet that should be able to step up now on a competing squad. He's been on some teams that have been decent, but I don't think that I can remember hasn't been on a squad with as high of hopes as this Lakers squad has had. So we'll see these steps in the process. And I think that will be not the X factor, but something that we definitely want to pay attention to as the season goes along. So there's just a lot of fun stuff for the Lakers to pay attention to. Looking forward to it all. We'll have more AD questions and all that stuff as we go along. But as a first look a little glance at what's going on this season. I think this is a good introduction to it all, and excited for what's to come. We'll be back, obviously, as we do our NBA stuff and talk more about what's going on with the Lakers as the season goes along, surely. And yeah, this is a good first preview of what's to come. So good stuff with them.